morning.
Good morning.
Here we sit around the primordial fire down in the sand pit. And it made me think about the first time I sat around a fire ring, besides being at a Girl Scout camp, singing Kumbaya and Michael Row, the boat ashore, which live in me. And the next time I sat around a campfire was in New Mexico on the Ocotay Creek outside of Black Lake. And it was an off-grid cabin. It was right on the creek with a pond right there. It was surrounded by aspen and cottonwood. And that's where my love of those trees grew. And Amy was conceived in that cabin. And so there was so much primordial energy around my life then. And it moved me to having her at home with a woman named Jesusita in Las Vegas, New Mexico. She charged me $40. She's the only person I saw after I found out what my RH factor was. And she guided me towards red raspberry leaf and comfrey tea, vitamin E for my belly, and then brewer's yeast daily. And that was all the prenatal care I did, except for walking. And so then the fire came to us again in the Bahamas. We would have fires on the beach. And we had a friend from Jamaica, and he taught us how to make that Jamaican bonfire that just stood 15 feet tall. And we had so many gatherings around those fires on the beach. When we left the Bahamas and we came to Alaska, we got a wood stove. And so when Dad came to live with us, he'd grown up in the Catskills and he had lived with wood stoves. So we brought him here for the last 2 years of his life. His dementia seemed to go on hold because people were talking to him and investing time in him like they wanted him to be there. And those fires meant a lot to me when we would lose power, and I would put on that old blue coffee pot on the stove, and me and Dad would sit in the dark waiting for the electricity to come on. But it was so much his youth, and it was so much of what I was creating in my life. And then the next time fires really stepped in for us was in the yurt. And so we moved into the yurt and we had fires every day. It was our only heat source. We made our toast and our mushroom brew every morning on it. And that's when we started talking about how we got here to our cancer. Because right now we're free and we understand our lives, and we understand that it's possibly our life was meant to deliver this message. And so there was 2 years in the yurt around fires, and I believe the reason why I got cancer was because I wasn't authentic to myself. I lived a good life, but yet I was in the world and I was in the mode of saving people, and a lot of times I was hurt by the people that we were stepping in to help. And that was confusing to me, and then energy gets built up. And it's just been an illuminating experience because we've seen how everyone is a victim to the world until they know that they're not. And that's where we come. We're not victims to the world or anyone else's pain. And so to arrive on the mountaintop, it's not that we don't have love in our hearts for our family or our children. They just couldn't get here with us, I said yesterday. And that's the only thing. They're in their lives and they just couldn't get here with us. And so that's a great way to say goodbye to them. And living with all this nature is the best landscape to be in for this showing of just how impermanent life is. And so I lived a life. I felt its pain. We understood it together, and we rose. And we've been gifted this space for my end days, and we got really busy. So it's like 4 months, 5 months we've been here, and it's like, oh, I was just going to experience everything here. But I think that since I've been here, I have experienced everything here that I wanted to experience. And
we're still creating new experiences.
we're
Like
still
this one.
like this one.
Like
And
this one.
so this will be like till
Yeah.
end days, you know, what are we going to do that's different that we haven't done before, and to really embrace this time that we're alone here, because we have people coming that we've invited and that we are so honored that they want to be here with us to share this journey. So for the next few days, it's going to be us just diving into one another after we get the heater put up in Tortuga, because we have the infrastructure for Tortuga, which is, we paid thousands to put that in there, and those batteries need to stay warm, and so the heater that we have in there is struggling, and so we want to help her and get another heater in there, and then we'll be set. We have redundancy for the cabin. If the cabin were to shut, then we have Tortuga. And to have Greg's engineering skills for figuring out another way to live off grid. We'd considered electricity for a minute, and but yet when we lived in Ketchikan on that beautiful property, there were electric wires everywhere. They would, in the windstorms, they would spark the trees, and they just took away from it. And we had an opportunity before we left. We didn't know we were going to sell. We spent quite a chunk of change putting it all underground. So then when we get out here, we've got that experience under us, and it's like, no, we don't want wires. We don't want wires here, so how can we?
And two, knowing that we're not long on this planet, so how big of a footprint do we want to put on it? You know, pouring concrete slabs and building structures, so using prefab portable buildings and just building above the ground rather than digging in, putting footings in, you know, electrical infrastructure. And it's an impermanent dwelling for impermanent life. And I think that's what we decided when we were coming up here, that we weren't going to impact the earth with our life more than we needed to.
It started with the yurt when we realized that it was such a comfortable dwelling, and the quality of life in it was different than living in a house. And I believe it contributes to why we're still here.
We borrow the earth.
We borrow the earth.
We borrow the earth.
So last night, I guess I'll tell the story here about Yoda. So Yoda's 14, and we had 2 golden retrievers that we loved with a passion. We had a third one, but she died at a year. And so these are our rescue dogs, and she's a rescue from the Bahamas, but she's a Jindo from Korea. But she slept on my pillow the first night when she was 3 weeks old with mange and fleas. And we've had her ever since, and that was a big mistake, because boy did we infest ourselves in our house. But she was so cute.
But
So-
she bonded. She bonded to you so hard.
And then she became kind of a support dog for Greg, because he was in his leukemia having to hike every day. And so the dogs are out with him, and she's bonding with him. And we are her support humans, because she has nervous energy too, but she's a cancer sniffer, and her energy is just, she's a sentinel, and she leads the way to joy, if you can even imagine it. So she's 14, and so her breath is changing. We went to the vet. They said that she seemed good and everything. And so we've been, you know, watching her, but not thinking anything was on board. So then yesterday, she really starts to act strange. and we're like observing it, but we're still able to move around her. And then at one point in the cabin, I made an energetic bounce or something. I was expressing something, jumped or whatever. It wasn't in anger or anything. It was just me, but it startled her so much. And so then
She just started quaking.
she started quaking and went into this newer behavior. And so then we watched her and we couldn't move around her. It was like she was having a stroke, and she wasn't using her back legs, and she wasn't, her head was bobble-headed, and it was just like Chai when he had his stroke. So we're sitting there with her thinking, oh my goodness, is this girl leaving us before I go? And I was so hoping that she would be here for Greg. And we sat there, and as attached as we were to the dogs in the world, we now know that you can't step on anybody's journey. And so we told her it was okay if she was going to go. And so she kept quaking, and she moved over on the floor because she didn't want to be up on the queen-size mattress anymore. And she was just so uncomfortable. I said, Greg, pick her up and bring her to the mattress. So he went and he picked her up and put her on the mattress, and she started to vomit. And it was black, and it was vile, and it was, oh my God, what is this? And Greg goes, Yoda, stop eating poop. And I go, she can't be eating poop because the ground's hard, and you know, there's nothing out there for her to eat. I go, I don't know what that was. And so we wiped it up, and we just sat with her and petted her. We started 1883, but we had to turn it off because she called us to her. And then when we went to bed, we were just going to trust that she was going to be okay in the morning. And so I woke up at about 3 o'clock, and I'd had an image in my mind. And I thought I saw me, but I wasn't sure, but I know I saw a bear. And when I saw that bear, I thought it was bear poop she ate. It was bear poop because it was so black, it was blue, like it had eating berries and stuff like that.
Blueberries, yeah.
And so, so then it's like, that's what she was eating. That's what made her sick. And so then I laid there for a little bit longer, and I thought, no, it wasn't. I didn't have this thought until we woke up with her, and she was Yoda again. And I said to Greg, I go, I've just had a thought, because at one point last night he goes, she really started to get bad after you had that bounce. And I go, are you trying to make me feel bad? He goes, no, I'm just stating a fact. So I took that in, and I thought, that energetic shift made her sick enough to throw that stuff up. And she didn't have to have it in her system and have it go all the way through her system to poop. And that seemed really clear to me today, too. As she is running up and down this path like the magical dog she's been
Always
for
been.
us.
Oh,
But last night, we got to let go of her a little bit. And in letting go of her a little bit, we got to let go of me a little bit. And thank you, Yoda. It was a beautiful preview. So anyways, that's what I wanted to say about that. And then Mocha here, she's just always there. They have such a funny relationship. They do. They stalk one another, and they act like they don't care, but they so do. What do you say?
Kind of animals we got in the woods, Yoda?
So we got a lot of snow coming here in about an hour, and so we're going to get back up there to the excavator and see what we're going to do here this afternoon before it gets really bad, and that'll be interesting. And we're moving forward with this, and I want to say that this, I noticed in the last few days, I hadn't microdosed in the last few days. And so today I said, let's microdose early in the morning, because I really don't like to take pain medication if I don't have to. And I have a lot of discomfort in my body. And so I said, let's try the microdosing this morning and see before I turn to anything else. And here I am. So that is really something to be said for microdosing. It's taking away. I don't have the anxiety of the event, but I do have anxiety when I don't feel well. And it's hard to be comfortable that I can even, sit with my dogs and play with Greg. So, yeah, we're forging ahead, and every day is an adventure, right? And namaste.
Namaste.
Namaste. Om Shanti. Thank you, thank you, thank you. It is the best prayer in the world if you've never prayed before. Mukananda, I think his name is, from Jamaica, and I was always trolling looking for peacemakers, and he's beautiful, man. His light just came through the screen. He said, if you don't know how to pray, if you've never prayed, just say thank you, thank you, thank you, and you'll know that you're praying. Okay, that's all.
Namaste.
Namaste.